Demystifying Voice of the Customer and CX Metrics. We are really excited to spend the next few hours with all of you to explore this topic together. But before we start, let me introduce today's speakers. I'm Pearl, one of the co-founders of Centricity CX. My background is in customer experience, change, and transformation. Over the years, I've worked with global brands in technology, banking, and payments, such as American Express, specializing in customer experience initiatives that drive retention, loyalty, and operational efficiency. Joining me today are my fellow co-founders, Andre and Nigel. Andre has spent over 18 years navigating industries such as telecommunications and banking. He has worked with organizations like T-Mobile and CSOB in the Czech Republic to bridge customer needs with business success by focusing on areas such as customer journey management to deliver the right customer and commercial outcomes. And our third speaker for today is Nigel, and he brings over 30 years of CX leadership with senior roles at global brands such as American Express, Vodafone, and Barclays. Nigel specializes in helping organizations turn CX ambitions into growth strategies and embedding customer centricity into the culture, into the DNA of the business. Now, for those who haven't come across Centricity CX before, let me give you a quick overview of who we are and the work we do. We are a team of CX geeks with one simple mission: to help organizations deliver growth through happy customers. We work across B2C, B2B, and non-profit sectors. Collectively as a team, we bring over 60 years of hands-on CX leadership. We've seen what works, learned the best practices, and the common traps to avoid. We believe every organization deserves access to great CX, and that's why Centricity CX, we exist to make that happen. So we're excited to spend the next 90 minutes with you. Looking at the agenda, we will start with why listening to the voice of the customer really matters. We will then look at the common traps that many organizations fall into when it comes to the voice of the customer and CX metrics. We will share best practices and the springboards that can help you accelerate, that can help you get it right. And throughout this workshop, we would love to hear your perspectives. This is not a lecture or a presentation. We want this to be as interactive as possible. So please use the live polls and the Q&A to share your views and questions. And finally, if you'd like to continue the conversation after the workshop, there's an optional virtual coffee where we can connect one-on-one, CX geek to CX geek. Now, a few quick logistics before we jump in. We'll be using Slido throughout to make sure your voice is heard. Share your thoughts in the live polls. Ask your questions anytime. There are no silly questions today, so I would encourage you all to use Slido to share your questions. And don't forget to vote for the questions you like, so we can prioritize them and make sure we cover your question. This way, we can make this workshop as interactive as possible. Okay, so now let's test Slido. Please go to slido.com and enter the passcode that you see on your screen, or you can simply scan the QR code as well. I'll give you a moment to join. Okay, so let's warm up with a quick poll. On Slido, can you tell us which country you are currently working in? We've heard earlier a few of you are from Kenya, so it'll be great to see where everyone is working in or joining us from. Majority is joining us from Kenya.
Maroon.
Cameroon is great to see someone joining us from Cameroon.
I'm the one from Italy, just to confuse things. So
Rwanda.
Rwanda, cool.
Well, I'm from Ghana, but I live and work in the UK. So the UK one is from me. And it's great to see quite a diverse group today. So shall we move on to the second poll before we dive into the content? Now, it'll be great to understand which department or function best describes your work. If you can use Slido to indicate the function or department. CX and customer service.
Any other functions? Okay.
It's a battle between experience.
Customer experience and customer service, yeah. Not a battle,
exactly.
Never a battle, Andre, never a battle.
Exactly, but it's great to see that different people are working in different functions across CX and customer service. And so with that, why don't I hand over to you, Nigel, to get us started and explore why voice of the customer truly matters.
Cool. Nice to meet everyone. Thanks for your time today. Thanks for joining. As Paul said, this is a workshop. In the old world, we would be in a room all together having a conversation. So please jump in. If you've got any questions, you can either put them into the chat on Slido or even just pop them into the chat on Zoom and we can pick them up as we go through. But it'd be great to hear your voices because we've got either customer operations or customer experience backgrounds. So it'd be good to hear from you and hear your point of views. So to jump into the body of the presentation or the conversation now, just so we have a clear definition and we're all on the same page. Today, what we mean by voice of the customer, we're going to be specifically talking around voice of the customer in the form of the feedback we're all capturing, or probably all capturing direct from our customers. So if you think of this as recently that you're not doing as an organization, us personally, after a purchase or after contacting a contact center, we all get those surveys, SMS, email, post call, IVR, where an organization is asking us, how was that experience? What did we think about it? We're talking about that. We're talking about the surveys that take place as organizations to solicit feedback from our customers. And this is good, as we all know, because it helps us understand what did the customer feel about that experience, that journey, that moment of truth. And from that, if we do it right, we can figure out what we all need to do to improve. So we are talking about what we call perception metrics. Common ones are Net Promoter Score, CSAT, customer satisfaction, CES, customer effort score. Star ratings with review sites is another perception metric. And there's a new one coming through now, which is sentiment score, and we'll touch on that later. But these are all perception metrics. And quite often when we are surveying or when we do a survey, there's a nice little box in there where we can put free format text. We are going to call those verbatim or verbatim comments, where the customer tells you in their own words why they scored us in that way. So when we're talking about voice of the customer metrics today, we're talking about these perception metrics. As we go through today, we're going to refer to NPS or Net Promoter System quite a lot. And that is it's actually used, I think, by 70% of Fortune 1000 organizations now use NPS as their survey. So this is where you're asking the question, based on your experience today, how high are you? How likely are you to recommend? Highly likely, you're a promoter. you're not likely at all as a detractor. So we're going to talk about perception metrics as we go through today and talk about specific ideas and tips and recommendations. We're going to use that NPS or Net Promoter Score to bring that to life. Hope that's okay. There are other voice of customer metrics, absolutely important, but the focus is going to be on those perception metrics, NPS, CSAT. The other VOC metrics, these are your operational metrics, the customer services guys. And I started in customer operations and ran customer operations before I got into CX. First contact resolution, response times, rework. Those are all good operational metrics, are a window into the experience. And then we've got the outcome metrics, churn, renewal rates, average order value, lifetime value. So you've got the perception metrics, you've got the operational metrics, and you've got the outcome metrics. And absolutely, they do fit together. And Andre, when he starts talking about how you can use this data, we're touching on it. But your operational metrics tell you about the experience, first contact resolution. They drive your perception metrics. What did you think about the experience? And then absolutely, that drives the outcome metrics. Did I renew or did I churn? So that's the definition. We're focusing on those perception metrics like NPS. Next slide, please, Andre. Hopefully we all get this, but why does this matter? Why is it important to worry about what the customers think about us? And the key answer, simple answer, it drives growth. Those organizations that get this right outperform their competitors because it drives first purchase. So if you've got a great customer experience, you will drive first purchase. And 73% of African consumers say that the actual customer experience is crucial to their first purchase. It then drives repurchase. 90% of consumers say that they would plan to buy again if they had a positive or good experience. And ultimately, it drives growth. So companies that are kind of top of the league table, the leaders in their sector and customer experience, double the revenue growth of the competitors. So listening to your customers and doing something about it to improve the experience to be the best in your sector does drive growth. Our CX roles deliver value to the organization. But here's the kicker. If you jump next slide, Andre. There's a gap and an opportunity. We've all know so many stuff on LinkedIn, etc., about great CX drives growth. But the interesting things, not many companies actually do something with the feedback they get. So 95% of organizations globally now collect some form of feedback. 70% of those are using the Net Promoter System as a preferred metric. It's a massive business. 3 to 5 billion is being spent on survey platforms and solutions like Medallia, Qualtrics, in Moment. If you fold in consultancy, analytics platforms, on top of the survey platforms, that 3 to 5 billion jumps to up about 20 billion. It's a massive industry. Here's the kicker. Only 10% of those organizations, so 95% of organizations are sending out surveys. Only 10%, or 1 in 10, actually do something with the feedback. They do, as in they take the feedback and generate into improvements. 90% of the organizations are just listening to the number, producing numbers and producing reports. So the majority of investment is just generating reports. So today we won't have a think. Are you in that 10% that send out further surveys and regularly improve things and the customers feel the benefit? Or are you in the 90% of really it's more about reporting numbers? So next slide. So how do we make sure we're in one of the 10%? The ones that are really driving positive improvement and outperforming our competition. And this is what we want to focus on today, because it is not about new systems, new tools, more analytics, and more money being spent on them. It is actually about us. And that's really exciting because it's not a big investment. It's about us. To get what these companies in the 10% that are really taking that insight and driving real improvements and outperforming their competitors, simply what they do, they follow the cycle of listen, learn, and improve. A really simple, logical cycle. The interesting thing in our experience is the principle of listening, learning, improving. Really easy. We all get that. We can all understanding. It is really, really, really hard to do in practice because it means changes in behaviors, changes in way we think, changes in way we prioritize, and the changes way we act. And because it's around behaviors and changing an organization, almost the culture, this is why organizations don't do it. And the majority of VOC programs are more about reporting the number than driving the real improvement. So today, we're not here to talk about what is the sexy new system. We're here to talk about how can you really, as an organization, all of us, make sure we're listening, learning, improving. And we just want to talk about the real common traps that we all fall into, all of us. I've done it under listen, learn, and improve. And what are the springboards we can jump on to get out of those traps? So we're really genuinely listening, learning, improving to the survey, the feedback we get back. We're learning and improving the experiences. The customers feel that in the experience they have, and as a result, customers will stay longer with us, buy more from us, and recommend us and drive growth. So we're going to dive into listen next. If you've got any questions, again, chuck them in the chat. Happy to deal with questions. There is the question facility on Slido as well. And you can put them in there and we'll pick them up at the end, or just jump in them anytime, turn your mic on. So we're going to start with listen, and then we're going to go learn and improve. The way we're going to structure this is under listen, we're going to have 3 themes. Under each of those themes, what's the real common trap we're all falling into? Let's think if we're in that trap. And then let's think about the springboard. What's the way to get out the trap? Are we using that? Could we use that? So that's the way we're going to structure each of these sections. And I'm going to cover listen first. So listen, in a nutshell, is about uncovering the full voice of our customer. So let's go to the first theme. Bernice has just joined. Hi, Bernice. So quick Slido question for you. Have a think personally, when was the last time you interacted with a customer? Jump into Slido, scan the QR code to get to it on the screen. Interacting could mean you did call listening, you visited a customer on site and did something called a Gemba walk, you worked alongside the front line, you joined a customer immersion day. So think about the last time. Is it last week, last month, last quarter? Let's see. I'm going to give you a few minutes to answer this. Come on, guys, dive into the Slido. That either means everyone on this workshop's spoken to a customer in the last week, or one person answered. So let's see.
We have 5 votes so far, so 5 times last week. Congratulations.
That is amazing. 5 people last week. That's our customer services people. Daily in the chat. Yep, I've been there running operations, dealing with call escalations and case escalations. Anyone else? Come on, how many responses, Andre, anymore? This is awesome. Come out the CX guys. The CX guys, are you all last week? I am really surprised. Okay, so.
Last month.
I collect daily cash from customers. Great. Okay. So the reason why this is in here, and it's really, Andre, can you go back one? Sorry. The reason why this is in here is that actually interacting with your customers is a really great way to listen. The problem is, as we're seeing here, no option for yesterday. Okay, we'll do last week for that one, Rosemary. The thing is that customer services guys, we do it every day in some form or the other. But if you look at a whole organization, they don't. And the recommendation is for the whole organization, every employee, including finance, HR, technologies, every employee should interact with a customer in some way once every 6 months, at least once every 6 months. All our leaders, every leader, CFO, CEO down, should interact with a customer at least once a quarter, ideally once a month. And this is really important because suddenly it's not just ourselves in operation or CX that lived and feel the reality of the customer. Every employee feels the reality of the customer. It helps break down silos. It helps build empathy, and it starts to bring the customer to life for everybody. So it's a great form of generating customer empathy in an organization. Right, let's jump into the first theme and listen. So listening, the first theme is listening blind spots. The first trap. So have a think as each, shall we go through a trap and a springboard? Think about your own organization. None of this is critical. The majority of organizations are in these traps. Only 10% are on the springboards and moving ahead. Think about yourself. There's no right or wrong. The first trap is for organization is that we're touch point obsessed. What we mean by that is the surveys we're sending out, whether CSAT, NPS, whatever, are just surveying those easy touch points. And normally this is post contact center interactions, your post call, post chat calls. So we are putting all our survey eggs in a very few number of touch points. In fact, 70% of VOC programs are only doing touch points, a few number of important touch points. The problem is that you're getting an incomplete understanding of the end-to-end customer experience and their relationship with you. If you go on to do the learn and improve purely off a very narrow focus of surveying on just a few touch points, you're going to miss the real pain points and you're going to miss the most important opportunities to improve. So how do you stop being touch point obsessed, surveying only just a few non-touch points? The springboard is start listening to all voices. And this is where I'm going to use NPS. If you use NPS, say yes in the chat. I'll be interested to see how many people, just chuck it in the chat on Zoom if you're an NPS user. So in the NPS, hopefully, yeah, Irene, good, well done, we got one. Oh, Cola, yes, fantastic. So we've got some NPS users. There's no right or wrong. We work with customers who use customer effort score, some use CSAT, some people use NPS. Edith, another yes. So Moses, great, you're going to understand what I'm going to say now, great. So NPS, the first tip on the springboard is have a think of your own. Are you just surveying touch point? Are you thinking about the levels of NPS? Have a look at the diagram on the right-hand side. What we mean, and here's some tips to how to use this springboard on NPS is, great, you are hopefully understand your key touch points. They've interacted with us on the website. They've interacted through a contact center. They've been into a branch or a physical location. That's important. You catch the insight from them on that moment of truth, on that interaction. But there's a level above that, what we call journey NPS, and I hope you've heard of this, which is, I'll give you an example. If you're in the telco world, and I think we've got some telco people here, you've got to contract renewal, and I renewed my contract. And you might have on that journey been into a physical store, gone online, and you might have called the contact center. So it could be 3 touch points. Surveying the journey level, asking the customer at the end of the journey, how was that journey for you? Would you recommend? The level above that is relationship NPS. And this is where, irrespective, and we recommend 10 to 15% of your customer base, you should ask once a year, is forget how many journeys, interactions you've had. Based on your overall relationship with us, would you recommend? And this is where you can start to get under loyalty. There's a final level, which is brand NPS, which is, your marketing guys probably do this, is where you go out and talk to even non-customers and say, based on what your understanding of our company, would you use us and would you recommend us? So this is why they call it Net Promoter System, not score. A key springboard is have a think of your surveys today, put them into categories of touchpoint, journey, relationship, brand. Are you getting the whole picture? Andrew will talk about improve in a minute. To get to the root cause, you need to be doing all these levels. For example, what happens to the touch point influences the journey perception. What happens to the journey perception influences the relationship perception. So have a think, tip number 1, are you listening to each of those levels? They've got unique voices, unique purposes. The next springboard is within go back on, sorry. The next springboard within the surveys themselves, we need to maximize response rates. A good or an okay to good response rate from SMS is it 15 plus 15%, email plus 20%. So top tip, keep your surveys short. Touchpoint NPS, if you've got a survey on touchpoint longer than 6 questions, too many, your response rate should drop. We work with clients that like 15 to 20 questions. So keep the survey short, and also always make sure you capture verbatim comments. So this is when you're doing your NPS. Brand NPS is, I'll take that question from Irene. Brand NPS is where you are going out to a panel of people and you're actually even asking non-customers of yourselves what you think of your brand. Within that survey, you're asking, what do you perceive of our brand? Would you buy our product? And would you recommend us based on what you think about us? So brand NPS is that when you're actually asking non-customers, Irene. Fantastic. So keep your survey short. and then always ask for verbatims. Your verbatims is that free format text. That is more important than the score, because that is where the customer is really telling you in their own words why they rated you that way. And that's the gold dust that you really need to get into. Last top tip is that for touch point, journey, and relationship, make sure when you're looking at your survey results, you can link it back to the actual customer. And if you're not already, you're looking at the actual customer record. What was the customer doing before that touch point journey or before we did the relationship survey? And what happened after? Did they go on to renew? Did they go on to buy more products? So make sure you can attribute a survey to a individual customer record. And this will stop us being touchpoint survey obsessed. Okay, that's okay. We're going to move on to the next theme, which is unsolicited feedback. So we know we're touchpoint obsessed. Hopefully we'll start leveraging journey and relationship to hear those fuller voices. It is more than surveys. There is a wealth of data out there that can also be mined. And some of you hopefully are already doing this. Unsolicited feedback could be chat transcripts, calls, cases, tickets, complaints, social media posts. This is all the other conversations that our customer is having with us and interactions that is out there, but don't often get used. 84% of leaders said that they recognize this unsolicited feedback is a great source of insight, yet only 30% of CX leaders are actually using this. Why aren't we using this data? Why aren't we getting into our chat transcripts and etc., mining this data? The reason is it is hard. There's lots of this data around. It's spread across multiple sources and it's unstructured. It's hard to get at and makes it inaccessible. So for any of us that we've gone out and tried to mine this other data, historically, it's been really time consuming, takes a long time and can be expensive. And as a result, it's not repeatable. And as a result, we go back to our good old surveys. The problem is that this is a massive missed opportunity. There's a gold mine, a wealth of insight in unstructured feedback. The springboard, and it's a 2-letter answer that seems to be the answer to all our pains and ills at the moment, is mine this unsolicited source with AI. I know AI is really being pushed back. It's going to solve all the world's problems, but in this case, it can, and it does. So our top tips is from a springboard, if you really want to start getting that unsolicited feedback, here's some other voices. Step number 1, go map them out. What are they? Our complaints, our chats, our voice calls, our web forms, our social posts. Have a think what's out there. Look at the volumes. Look at the frequency. Where is the most conversations taking place? And then start to leverage AI. There are solutions out there. We have our own solution called Review Radar. Start using AI. It is not expensive. It's quick and easy to start. Integration is easy. Start leveraging AI to start mining some of this unstructured data. This could even be your verbatims can fall into this as well. It's giving rise to this new kilometric sentiment. So positive and negative sentiment and the drivers of this. Where to start? If you want to go to one source first of unstructured data, that's the most powerful, practical top tip, go to your third-party review sites. Whether you're Google Reviews, Google Play, TripAdvisor, depends on the industry, go there. The reason why we recommend our clients to go there to really enhance their listening is 93% of consumers today said that third-party reviews will influence their purchase decision. So they're thinking about buying from you. They're going to these review sites. 93% of customers will go there and they will start looking at reviews. 60% of those customers, if they see too many negative reviews that aren't moderated, will walk away. So by getting into the third-party reviews, you're starting to understand what's behind a positive star rating and a negative star rating, but it means you can start improving your services and experience and getting your customers and getting your star rating up and start driving more sales as a result. I've had a couple of proof points on this, which I'm going to do here. A couple of proof points on unstructured. No, I'll do it in a minute. I'll do it in a minute if that's okay. Don't ask. Let's move to the next theme. Right, don't dare ask and ignore. I'm going to use a little analogy, a personal one here. So this is about never asking someone and ignoring them. Okay, you finish your day's work, you've gone home, you walk through the front door, your flatmate, your loved one, member of the family's there, and you turn around to them like we all do and go, hi, how was your day? And they look at you and they look tired and they look miserable and they go, oh gosh, thanks so much for asking. My day's been awful. I was late for work, the car broke down, I got to work, my boss was horrible, and I got home and the dog bit me. And then they look at you and they pause and they look at you expectantly and expect a hug or some kind words. And all you do is you walk away, you sit down on the settee and you turn the TV on. In essence, that's what 75% of organizations do that survey. They send a survey out, your customers take time to tell you how they feel, and then they stop. They don't do something called closing the loop. And what this means is you've raised your customers' expectations, and now they don't feel like you care because you've gone silent on them. So the springboard is really simple. Thanks, Andre, is close the loop with the customers, show you your care. So best practice in this is starting with your detractors is simply, and if you're doing this already, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Starting with your detractors, reach out to them within 48 hours of receiving the survey. Ideally do it in 24 hours. Send them a communication, could be an email. Cecilia, good on you, good to hear. Send them an email, whatever, a message. Ideally call a detractor. Whatever you do, make it personal. Nigel, thank you for feedback. So sorry you had a bad experience when you went into our store the other day. We're really sorry. Please rest assured that the feedback you've given us is going to make a real difference. So close the loop, starting with your detractors within 48 hours. It's not always about your detractors, actually. Your passives, so these are the people that scored you 7 and 8 on the Net Promoter Scale. Reach out to them, saying, you know, thank you for providing the feedback. Your insight is really useful for us, and we really want to use that to make the experience even better. So next time you're going to rate us a 9 and a 10. Your promoters, let them feel the love. Even if your person at home's had a great day, walk over to them and say, give them a hug and say, I'm really glad you had a great day. So even for your promoters, reach out to them, drop them an email and say, thank you for being a brand advocate. Irene, another thumbs up for doing it. Brilliant. Oh, that might be for the brand NPS, sorry. So what we're saying is close the loop with your detractors, passives and promoters, to use NPS language. A couple of really powerful proof points. One organization, we reached out to our promoters. We took a sample of our touchpoint and journey NPS surveys, and we did an email to them. And we said, thank you so much for rating us a 9 or 10 and being an advocate of brand X. We really appreciate it. We really value your support. We would love you to tell the world. And we gave them a simple link to Trustpilot. So please go to Trustpilot and tell the world about how you feel. Our Trustpilot star rating was 3.4 before we do this. By doing this exercise, we moved it to 4.3 in 24 hours. We were gobsmacked. Within 24 hours and sending out our first batch of email, our advocates, our promoters, were so wanted to tell the world, they went to Trustpilot and read a review and shifted our score from 3.4 to 4.2 in 48 hours. Suddenly, prospective customers are going to be seeing that, and that's going to have a real positive impact on our business. Other end of the spectrum, closing in with detractors, Vodafone, Andrea in Czech Republic, they did a bit of exercise. I did it in Vodafone in the UK. Started calling their detractors within 48 hours. Called them up, easy when you're a mobile company, you got their phone number, and said, I'm really sorry for your feedback. We genuinely want to listen to you. Talk to us about the negative experience. What went wrong? How we closed the issue? So this is a phone call. At the end of that conversation, in the UK and the Czech Republic, we asked, you know, based on the call today, how would you rate us now? 3/4, 70%, 7% of those detractors in the Czech Republic said at the end of that call, we would rate you as a promoter now. We would be your promoter, because nobody does this. They were absolutely amazed that a company had taken their time to call them and apologize. So again, it's a real quick, impactful way to take your survey data, take it to the next level of listening, close the loop. Don't leave your loved one stood in the kitchen while you're sat in the settee watching your favorite TV show. close the loop with them. Okay, so that brings us, I believe, to the end of listen.
Exactly.
So Andrew, just for a hand over to you. So now we're listening to all the voices, hopefully. We're out of the traps. Thanks, Charlie. We're out of the traps. We're on the springboards and we've got a full voice. Sorry to stop you, Andre, but a warm hand over to Andre was that it's now about the learning. If you're hearing all the voices, for goodness gracious, we're now on to the next stage and we need to be aware of the traps and the springboards for learning. I'll stop now, Andre, and hand over to you. Guys, thanks for your comments and stuff in the chat. Keep them going. I really appreciate it. And thanks, Rosemary.
Nigel, thank you, and no worries stopping me.
That's all right. I feel bad now. Thanks,
absolutely
Carla.
okay. Great day, nice, beautiful morning also from my side. I will continue with the learn. That's the second part of the listen, learn, improve cycle, and follow up on some of Nigel's thoughts and recommendations. Just one logistic here. I can't see your comments or reactions and questions in chat. So Nigel, Pearl, if anything arrives,
I will shout them out. If we hear from any of the guys, I will
please
shout them out.
Speak it to me. I will try to answer. Yeah. So getting into the learn, which is, as Nigel mentioned, it's basically how you turn the scores and the numbers and the wall of text you are getting from your customers into something we call actionable insights. So something you can really work with and something you can really improve the actual customer experience and make sure that it's not just another report that you send out. So this will be the second part, the learn. And before we jump in, I would like to ask you a question. So again, we are going into the Slido. Please, if you can take your mobile phones, I believe when you go back to your browser, you can see it right away, or just scan the QR code. And the question is simple. How often do your leaders review customer experience performance? By reviewing customer experience performance, I really mean it's a part of the conversation in the leadership meeting, not just a report sent out that maybe somebody reads. So how often you or your leadership team is talking to customer experience performance? Is it regularly as part of the every leadership meeting, or it's ad hoc just because there is something happening and you want to solve an issue and it becomes a company priority, or just you never do that, or not yet, and you want to start? Looking for your answers right now, so please have a go. I can see we have 5 votes already. 6 votes, thank you. It's 50-50 ad hoc versus the regular part. 7, nice. Anything in the chat?
Both 1 and 2. So both regularly and ad hoc, Rosemary said, Andra.
Okay, thank you, Rosemary. So it's 60-40 approximately. Congratulations to you who really managed to have the CX reviews as part of the leadership meeting on the regular level, because I believe, and from my experience, this is the ultimate goal. This is the great win and game changer for you. So moving to another slide and talk about the team and topics and traps, and moving from the question. So my team number 1 is health checking your data. And I would like to introduce you John. He's not here with us. He's a virtual person, but it's an embodiment of our collective experience and pain points we heard from other CX leaders. So we have John, who is customer experience leader in a mid-sized bank somewhere. And imagine the situation. John is invited to present the latest NPS data and customer experience performance, and he is going to visit the board meeting with a fresh report, fresh printout. And what happened? He see that the lines of the score, the chart of the scores, are jumping up and down. Every month there is a huge volatility, and it's really hard to capture a trend. So imagine you are being John in his skin and walking in his shoes. what he starts thinking, okay, the NPS went down by 5 points. What's behind it? And they start thinking about what was the last thing we changed. They start talking to other people around the company. Was there any change that might be behind the NPS drop? And they maybe come up with a theory, with a conclusion. It must be because of the latest product change we did in our mobile application, and we believe that might be the driver of the NPS decline. Great. John has his story. He put it all in the slides, and he's visiting the board, telling the story of the product change driver that is dropping down the NPS. Board is clapping the hands, saying, well done, John. This is great, great insight. Let's fix it. But the fix takes some time. Next month, John proudly walking into the board, preparing the presentation, and he sees that the NPS score jumps up again. So it's going from down to up. And again, it's by, let's say, 7 points. What happened? Suddenly, the story of the latest product change, the product update, doesn't fit the real world, because it's not possible to jump up by 7 points on NPS in 1 month, and the change still, the fix was not deployed. So what's behind it? John enters the boardroom, he's showing the numbers, and his credibility really is getting some serious damage because he has no answers. Why the numbers is up, I don't know. It's not because of the product change. So it means we were tackling the wrong area. Why this happening? And I hope you were not in the same place, but I confess I'm guilty. It happened to me one time, and it really went up and down. That's because of the sample size, and I will talk about the sample size on the Springboard, the next slide. I just want to mention this is the usual trouble in small businesses where you don't have so many customers, or it's a usual trouble for a specialized segments, like when you are going into B2B segments, where you start surveying NPS over your customers, but you don't have such a big base, such a huge, robust base, so you can get a lot of samples to have the statistical valid data. So it's this, by this saying, maybe NPS for a small business or a business segment is not the right metric you should follow. But let's go to the Springboard. On the right-hand side, you can see an easy chart, I hope, that is saying how the sample size of your NPS surveying is influencing the final results. Imagine you have the blue column where the sample size is just 50 responses from your customers. That means that if you get a score, for example, 0 here, it means the real result is somewhere between plus minus 20 points. And that's a huge volatility you are getting from your results. On the other hand, if you increase the size to, for example, the red one, where the sample size is about 1,000 samples, the volatility is somewhere around 3-4 points, which is much better. And if you improve to 5,000, then you are on the safe side. So the Springboard here for you, always check the survey data sample size. And know the margin errors. Is when you present this to your board, to your leadership, always include these variations, the margin of errors in the presentation, so you make sure they understand the confidence, make sure they that you show your credibility, and you understand what is behind the number. The reason for this jumping up and down and for the really huge margin of error of MPS, and I don't want to state obvious, but I believe it should be said here, it's how a MPS is calculated. And when you have smaller sample size, and there is a slight change in the structure of promoters and detractors. So imagine that you have in additional 2 promoters or detractors in your sample, it will really erode the results. How to fix this? How to move? How to make the step that you make more certain about the results? The obvious one, larger sample size. Nigel mentioned that it's about the survey design. Are you asking 3 questions or are you asking 10 questions? It really defines the response rate of your customers. You can use different channels. Email return rate will be around 3%. SMS return rate can be around 15%, which can then 5 times increase the response base. If you don't have these opportunities or these options, just look to smooth your data. What I mean by this, it's just using the rolling averages. So don't report on weekly or monthly basis when you have smaller sample sizes, pardon me. Look for average quarter, for example. So look at the last 3 months and again. So use the rolling averages because it will give you much more confidence in the data. And as I mentioned, show the margins in the reports to your board. Before we move on, I would like to mention one important thing. And usually, or it's quite common practice that MPS is connected with the company bonuses or with the bonus scheme of people in companies. Doesn't matter whether it's a leadership team or it's just for the whole population. When you start connecting MPS to the performance evaluation or to remuneration packages of your people, you really need to be sure that the numbers are correct and valid. Because that's the worst thing that can happen to you as a CX leader. You convince your HR partners and you convince the board to get the MPS or whatever CX metric as part of people bonuses, which is great because it will drive the interest of your colleagues and of the whole company, and you are not the lone soldier anymore. But if the MPS jumps up and down because of the statistical validity, this can really erode the credibility of the numbers. It can really hit the trust of your employees and of your partners in what the bonus calculation is at the end. And basically, it can be just another taxation of people's payroll. So please, by closing this first topic, check the sample sizes. When connecting MPS to the people bonuses, make sure it's really statistically robust, so you don't upset your colleagues and people, and you don't erode the trust. Show the margins and improve your surveys so you can get really a bit bigger response rate. Now I will move to the second topic. Not sure if any questions.
No questions so far, Andrea.
Okay, but it means I'm telling this really super clear thing, so thank you for that. Second team, dig deeper into the why. So again, we have John and I see a hand raised. Lola, maybe can you ask?
Just a quick question. So when you were showing MPS, and I know that you also need to always start in error margin. How is the best way to set that error? And how can you also apply that to determining whether that MPS result you have, whether it shows the true reflection or not the true reflection, just the best way to be able to report that to the executives.
Okay, so how we did it, for example, in Avast, it was really showing the number you have, I don't know, for example, 25, and we calculated the margin error. And it's calculated from the sample size, from the population size, and also the confidence level is something that influences the calculation. We can share the calculation how it's done after the call, or if you get in touch with us, definitely we can share this. But you can then show it's 25 plus minus 2, and the average value. And if you tied it, for example, to bonus, it means that the target value is 25 plus minus 2. It means when they hit 23 or 27, it still means we are on target and we are on the right track. Does it answer your question, Lola? I see Lola disappeared.
Yes, we've lost Lola, but Andra, we've got a question from Rosemary. What's the ideal size? Well, let me read the question. Sample size, what is the ideal size of target population?
I'll jump in on this one. It depends on the survey. Your sample size is determined by the confidence level you want. So we recommend for touchpoint NPS, because you've got a lot more people you can survey. We recommend on reporting to go for a 90% confidence level, which is plus or minus 5 to 7. So you've got your result. It could be with plus or minus 5 or 7 with it points within that. So to get your sample size, Rosemary, there are lots of tables online that you just say, I've got this population size. I want to have a confidence level of 90%, and it will tell you. And I think for a 10,000 population, that's going to be about, 300, I think. I can't remember, Rosemary, but 90% confidence level, plus or minus 5. Plug that in, go into find an online tool, put in there how many surveys you need. Say, I've got this many customers. I want to get a confidence level of 90%. How many we need to survey? It'll give you the population size. So for Journey NPS and Touchpoint NPS, aim for a 95% confidence level for those. It's just, it reduces the degree of accuracy. And then I'll just say, visually show that. If you see a variance within those error margins, plus or minus 5 for 90% or plus or minus 3 for 95%, don't react. It's noise. And make it clear to your execs, this is noise, you don't need to react. So 90% and 95%, and sample size is dictated by your population size. But get ChatGPT will help you on that, Rosemary, if that helps.
The mighty AI. Cool. Thank you, Nigel, for the answer. Let's have a look on the second topic, the dig deeper into the why.
Oh, Andra, actually, we've got another question on sample
Wow,
size.
I'm delighted.
Very popular one. Yes. Can a similar approach be applied to CSAT?
Absolutely.
Well, Nigel?
Doesn't mind. We've all got our different premises. CS, choose your poison. NPS, CSAT. I'm so old. I was around before NPS even started, and I was around when it came up about 2001. Exactly the same. Same principle. We don't need to be statistical experts. There'll be someone in your AI function, reporting function, and we finance can help you with that. But yeah, exactly the same. Whatever your metric. It builds confidence. Build confidence by showing.
Exactly. Thank you, Nigel. The beauty of customer effort score CSAT is that it's not that sensitive to the sample size as the NPS, and it's just because of the different calculation methods. They are more about the averages. So customer effort score, it's more robust and not that sensitive to the sample size. Okay, so let's dive into this trap, and I will again invite John, and let's imagine this. John is standing in front of the board, and he is showing now he has statistically valid and robust data, so he's showing them, and he's quite sure that it's everything correct, which is amazing. And he's saying, okay, NPS drop down, or the latest NPS is 30. And he moves to another slide. But the CFO stops and saying, okay, what does it mean for us? Does it mean that we are losing money? The salespeople will start asking, and how about our competitors? The product leaders start asking, what does it mean to my product? What does it mean NPS is declining? And the room just tighten because John has no answer to that. He just has the score, and he has no story behind it, no context. You don't know why. And that's the worst thing that ever can happen to you when you are standing in front of the board. When you show something and somebody asks, the worst case scenario is CEO asking, so what? And you don't have the answer on the what. That's, again, a hit on credibility. You don't have the answer. There is no context. There is no story. How to move from it? It's the basic technique, or it's a really simple one. Start asking why. Why? Find the drivers of the scores, link them to the business outcomes. You can use journey mapping, whatever. But I would like to show it to you on this practical example. Remember, I mentioned that John is bringing the latest NPS results, which are NPS 13. So the first why we have 13 and why it dropped down, John knows that it's because the poor customer experience, because he is reading the comments, and maybe he has a platform that is, as Nigel mentioned, almost all voice of the customer platforms these days have sentiment or text mining analytics features. So they understand the drivers is maybe a poor customer service. That's the first why. Great, we have a driver, which is amazing, but still is not that actionable. We need to ask the second why, which leads us to the reason. What's the reason that people are mentioning the poor customer service? It's because the slow response times, lack of first contact resolution. Again, this can be mined from the verbatims. It can be done, as Nigel mentioned, from the unsolicited feedback. You can check your customer service data and find the reasons. And the third why is where I encourage you. You go down to meet your customer service manager. You sit down with him and say, hey, what happened? What's going on? Why we have slow response times? Why the first contact resolution is so poor? And you will get the answers. You will get the reasons. You will get the root causes. And the root causes might be, we don't have enough people, and the new product launch is causing us so much pain, and we don't have sufficient training on the complex issues the new product is delivering to customer support. And now you have really something tangible and actionable. It's not just an NPS 13. It's not a poor customer service. You know that something is going on with the support team and the training, which leads you that you can start tracking the actions and set up the targets. Here, for example, for the actions, it can be a new hiring and improve the training. And you can set up a secondary target to the customer experience metrics, which goes with average handling time or first contact resolution. This moves you from reporting just the number to report the number, the reason, and what we are going to do with it. And who is going to do it? It will be the guy from customer support management team. Cool.
Just quickly on that, just a quick comment, if that's okay, Andrea. The thing is here, when we all do this, having come from customer operations and you're firefighting your operations, you haven't got enough people, etc., or if you're in the CX teams, this going down the why isn't to make people look bad. We're all doing hard jobs in the organizations, working with limited resources, rapid change. So when we do this, it's doing it in a collaborative way to understand the true root cause, because the role of CX leaders on the call is to support the organizations. So when you're back with sitting around with senior leadership saying the root cause is around training, it is not to throw that person under a bus. It is to help them get the platform to get what they need to improve it. So please, it's sometimes when you do the why, it can come, people don't want to get involved. They don't want to expose the real reason because it can make them look bad. It's not. We want to get the true root cause to help each other for the outcome of the customer. So I don't know how you find it, guys, but sometimes when you ask why in the organization, you need to make sure people feel secure and comfortable on that journey. This is not a blame culture. We're just trying to find the truth through the customer's eyes. So thanks, Andrea.
Great, Nigel, thank you. This is leading us to the third theme. And basically this is going back to the question we had around how often you have regular debates with your C-level management team on the customer experience performance. What we see or what can happen, and I'm guilty too, again, I'm confessing here today too, because this happened to me. The insights, the numbers, everything interesting around the customer often remain owned and stuck in the customer experience team. Which I'm not saying they are not trying to share the results, and often they do, but it might be a trap of sending a fancy 30-page deck every month with lots of numbers, a lot of text all around the company. But what you get from this when you send the email is just few polite thank you, or maybe that's interesting. And the leaders all around the board will just have a look into the deck and they will scan it quickly to check, am I safe or not? Do I have problems somewhere? I don't have, I don't care. How to move from this trap? And again, it's about Jan, who is sending this, John, who is sending this report out and get no feedback. It's something we managed to do in Avast. We had this issue, or I had this issue. We are sending out the emails, sending out the reports. Nothing happened. We felt lonely and not heard. How to move from this? We mentioned it on the beginning of the learn phase. It's really make sure you secure your seat within the leadership meeting on the regular level. We saw it 60-40 in the initial poll. So congratulations to the 60% when you have the regular review. That's amazing, because for us, it was truly a game changer. From sending email to sit there in front of CFO, CEO, and start telling the story, that was really, really huge change. Because then you have the discussion. And you have the outcomes, and you are getting people who are responsible for the topics, and that's really, I would encourage you if the 40% of the auditorium here. The second thing, and it's mentioned, capturing hearts and minds, and I will stay with Avast and we'll talk about the story there. Avast, back in the days, really sales business driven company, which is absolutely fine because it's a company that is quoted on the stock exchange markets. It must be about money, and it is about money. But the customer was missing. So what we saw all around, it was just sales numbers, sales numbers, sales numbers. And when I joined Avast as a CX leader, and I started having the corridor talks and coffees, lots of people passionate about customers. And they're telling me stories. My mom is using Avast, and my dad, and my friend. And I got the stories all around. I say, we can't hear the voice of employees here. So what we did, the practical tip, we set up a CX Slack channel in the company environment and the company Slack channels. And we encourage people to join the conversation, to share their feedback, to share their stories, to share their insights, learnings, tips, tricks, everything. Soon after the launch, we had something like 700 people participating, and soon it became the top 3 channel in Avast from the engagement perspective. So we started the communication between the two-way communication. Basically, it was amazing. Second thing we did, I mentioned the regular sessions with the management. And the last one, and that's the reason we have this handsome guy on the right-hand side whose name is Darko. Darko was, or still is, a manager of, or he basically did the implementation of Medallia in Avast back in the days, few years later. And what we wanted, because we got the requests from the people, I want to hear the voice of the customer. I want to check the data. I want to have my statistics. When we implemented the voice of the customer platform, we also launched a quite big internal campaign using Darko as a hero face. And we encourage people to get into the platform, find their data, find their customers, learn about what's going on with their product, processes, customer service, whatever. It went down, or there was an initial training, a really small one or short one. People start using the platform, and even the C-level, the board members like CFO, CEO were using the mobile application from Medallia to capture, to see what's going on, to get the digest of the customer experience, and not just scores, but also the comments, the feedback to the drivers. So my tip to you, or the lesson learned here from the past experience, share it with your colleagues, share it with everybody in the company. I'm sure in your company there's a lot of people who want to learn more about your customers. Use it to your benefit as a CX leader. So now we are going to improve. Are there any questions on the last two topics?
No questions so far, Wondra.
Lovely. So let's go to the improve. And Nigel at the beginning mentioned that this is the crucial part. This is where the magic happens. The previous two stages, we are talking about how to collect the feedback, how to translate it into something tangible, actionable. But the gold nuggets are hidden in the improve. When you don't improve, nothing happens. Customers are not happy, customer leaves. So how to turn insights into action, and how to make this owned by your leadership as well, because it should start at the top. And again, we are here today to share our perspective. So I would love to invite you to share a perspective here as well. And the question is, how well are you able to connect the customer experience metric to your business outcomes? For example, revenues, churn, loyalty numbers, upsell numbers. So when you see CSAT or NPS, how are you confident, and how are you linking this to the business impact?
So quite simply, if you see a shift in your CSAT or NPS, can you tell the organization what that's going to do to revenue, to churn, to loyalty? Can you move from the language of CSAT, NPS through to what it does on the financial side? Wow. Oh, it's weekly. I've got read that wrong. Sorry. I'll do it as well. Anyone else?
We have 2 votes right now, so it's about the sample size. You can see how the sample size is hitting the results.
So somewhat connected. That's good. Don't be shy, guys here, because not many organizations are regularly and successfully linking CSAT NPS to financial connections. A bit of a silver bullet, but is anyone around? Any other votes? Somewhat connected. That's good. That's actually encouraging, Andre Pal, isn't it?
So
that it's on people's radar. That's good. Actually, you're ahead of the pack there, I think. Okay.
We have over 20 people on this line. Come on, guys, share your thoughts.
That's more positive than I would thought it'd be. Oh, it's changing as we speak.
Maybe for the participants who join us later, if you scan the QR code on the left-hand side, it will lead you to a browser where you can answer the questions and you can cast your vote easily. We have some
And very quickly from my side, guys, you're ahead of the curve. Most organizations at CX Metrics sit in isolation. So this is really, really encouraging that you're actually linking through your CX or NPS results into the so what. What does it do to revenue? Good. Interesting.
Amazing. Thank you. And we will move on. Two more.
Oh, God, it's shifting still. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. It warms my heart to see the interaction. Thank you, guys. Lovely. So let's move on, because I would like to introduce you another person in this story, who is Mary. Remember John? John was the CX leader, or is the CX leader in the mid-size bank company, but we have also Mary, and Mary is the CEO of this bank. So now we have two actors here, and I will try to connect the story. The core of the business of this hypothetical bank is providing cash loans using a mobile application. And again, imagine the situation. The bank sees a decline in new provided cash loans, and there is some kind of an issue, and they need to understand why. So Mary is giving a task to John to come up with the recommendation and to investigate what is happening, because it looks like it's tied to the customer experience issues. And well done, John, because he's seasoned CX manager expert. He starts mapping the customer journey, which is great. So they run the customer journey mapping session, and they found out 70, 80 pain points all around the customer journey. And they arrive to the board meeting and saying, hey, we have 70 pain points, and they want to do everything at once. And now they are stepping into the trap and we see this trap quite often. A lot of things to do, a lot of big, or even small projects or bigger projects, but it's a lot of things that they have on their plate. 70 pain points, it's really hard to manage, and they are not getting any approval. And the board, especially Mary, is confused and it's not sure what to do first, because there was no prioritization, no link to the business impact, nothing. Mary is confused. John is unhappy because he's getting back from the board with no green light, no resources, and his credibility is eroding. How to fix this, or how to move from this trap? There is a saying, if you chase two rabbits, you got none. You have 0 rabbits. So it's better to start small, grow big. Actually, it's one of my favorite saying, or we have start small, win fast here. It's about finding the vital few things you should start doing, rather than doing extensive transformative exercise with lot of projects and initiatives. So really find a few and send a signal to the company by saying, we are doing this, 3 things, quick wins, for example. We managed to deliver, we managed to implement, we managed to launch, and it's bringing impact. That's a great signal you can send to your company, saying, when it's done right with the customer in mind, it's changing the outcomes, it's changing the customer perspective. So when we go back to the board meeting 2 weeks later, John is arriving back to the board, and he has his recommendation prioritized, linked with the business outcome, and he has the right owners, because not everything is about the CX team. There might be a lot of other people who are doing, who can do the job of improving. He get his blessing, he gets the board blessing. Board is Mary understands why we are doing this. He got the resources. He got a budget. He got a buy-in, and he can start basically with the show. That saying, really, long story short, don't stretch you all around the place. Find your allies, find the responsible people, do just few things at once so you can get funding. Big transformation starting from 0 point. Don't get the funding and the CX program stalls. Send the signal to the company that when doing the things right, it changed the outcome. I see Nigel too. Any addition or not? I saw you were like.
I'm dying to jump. I'm just conscious of time. Guy, for us ops leaders and CX people, what we mean by signals of change specific is CX transformation or CX change, voice of the customer, whatever you want to call it, in its essence, is a culture change in an organization. So you can get to the point where you've listened, you've learned, you've got to your root cause, and you're trying to find the right things to do. Andre's saying is, don't try and boil the ocean, don't fix everything. Find a few things that can make an impact fast, not necessarily the big things. Quite often what we mean by signals of changes, the issues I've identified have been known for a long, long time. They're the elephant in the corner. It's the contact center that never had enough resource. Finding those things that have been around for a while and can even have started to erode employee confidence and becoming an ally to the person who owns that function to say, look, we've got an issue here. The customers are feeling it now. We've felt it for a long time. Let's fix it. And bringing that back to your CEO is a real test of the appetite of your organization to do it. It's one thing for the CEO and the C-suite to say, we want to be customer centric. It's another thing to say, when we've got this thing, this has been around for a while, our employees feel it, our customers feel it, we've calculated the business impact, let's fix it. It is a great test of your C-suite to see if they really believe in what they're talking about, putting the customer first. And if they do, and they get behind that change, it's a massive signal of change in your CX program that we mean this, we truly mean, these aren't just warm words, that we want to put the customer first. So signal change are those things that are often known about, customer feels, employee feels, that you can quantify, got the impact, and you're bringing back with the functional owner to the C-suite saying, let's fix this together and let's prove we really want to put the customer first. So that's what we mean by signal change, because this is as much about culture change as it is about systems and root cause, etc. That was all, Andre.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just feel passionate about that, guys. It is culture change. So.
And I will speed up a little bit so we hit the time. The second trap is designing with the customer. We call it inside out thinking. And again, when I take John as our hero here, he has the resources, he has the budget, he can start doing the improvements because the board approve it and everything is great. They are in the time pressure and they start designing the changes, the improvements from their desk. They start putting their perspectives in here. And I believe you know it very well. When you are under time pressure, you come up with the design, then there is time to time a corporate cycle you need to show, you need to discuss this with the product owners, with sales, with finance, and the whole thing, the proposal just becomes something different than it was at the beginning. And then you start coding and you deliver the thing and you launch it to the customers. And then you go back to the board room saying, hey, we implemented fast, we launched fast, amazing, well done us. But in 2 weeks, you will see that the changes do not meet customer needs. The changes do not perform as expected. And there will be a silence in the boardroom because we were so happy, we were so excited, but doesn't make any change. It doesn't deliver what was expected. Why? Because the change was done from the desk, from the internal perspective only. And that happens quite often, more often than we would like to hear. So how to move from this trap? Because Mary, the CEO, is not happy. it's about being more, and now sorry for the buzzword, it's about being more customer-centric and agile-led. But I would like to give you a few hints and tips from my experience working with one bank in Czech Republic, because they were facing the same issue. The designs, the proposal, the implementation, the services were just designed from the desk, not with customer in mind. And it was a really pain because they spent so much time and so much money on implementing, developing and delivering something that was not working in the end. So what we did, and few tips for you, it's not about being so much transformative and start changing the whole company to be agile obsessed and human-centric design-led. That's a great thing, but it takes time. But what we did, we identified the right teams that have influence on the customer outputs. Even they were with internal customers or from marketing, from product teams. And we ran just few exercises, few workshops with them, focus on the change of the mindset. The first workshop, the series of workshop was focused on delivering few aha moments using human-centric design sprint. It's a super easy 3-hour workshop exercise, and I'm sure you know it is the famous Stanford Design School wallet project, when you have designers and you have customers, and the designers are asked to design a wallet, and then the customers arrive and it changes everything. To make it short, the goal of the exercise is to deliver the aha moment, and when you start with your internal perspectives, the end is something that is not favorable for the customer. But when you loop in the customer in the beginning and all over the process, as you can see on the picture on the right-hand side, the results are much more likely to be adopted by the customers and be much more successful. Beauty of this, it doesn't need to take years to transfer the company. You just run these workshops, then you do the journey mapping, and the last thing the bank did in Czech Republic, they set up a function called CX Hub, a really small team of people who had the power to invite customers to the panel discussions. So at the end, they ended up with the process that they were able to invite customers, discuss the solutions, test, ideate, validate super fast in a matter of days and weeks, not just months. So they were able to deploy the solution that was successful, tested, and to bring the outcomes. So outcome of this, design with the customer in your mind, in your head. There are a few practices that will help you, like the human-centric design sprint, test, iterate over and over again. These days, AI is so powerful, it can help you to build a clickable prototype in hours. So you don't need to wait to have a beta version coded in your core systems. You can just really make a fast prototype and test it with customers. And moving to the last one, which is CX is everyone's business. That's, I believe, one of our passionate topics here, or topic we are passionate about. Sorry. This is about how to change the paradigm when you are leading customer experience program in your company. The leaders often, and I saw it in so many teams and in so many businesses, they are more in a push mode. So they are pushing the customer experience topics, the customer experience methods and everything across the board, but nobody is reacting, nobody is participating, saying, this is not my job, this is a customer experience job, and it usually ends in a way, but you prepare a nice customer review presentation, you are in the board meeting, you are presenting the slides, but when the leaders are not connected and they are disengaged with the topic, they are just connecting mobile phones. They are not paying attention. And the results, the decisions you are taking from the board, like zero. It was just another show. How to make it work? Start at the top. I mentioned it several times. It's important that your leadership has the right buy-in, but you should start talking their language. And example from real life here again, we knew that it's hard to convince other teams like sales and product to start cooperating on the customer experience topics. Just showing a single feedbacks and showing NPS is dropping down or increasing doesn't change anything. It was just a pain. So what we did, and that was the magical moment when the CFO became our greatest ally, because we asked him, can you help us to calculate the impact of the customer experience on the business outcomes? And this actually ties back to the question we had at the beginning of this session. Long story short, in cooperation with the finance team, we find out that one NPS point is worth almost $5 million a year. A huge number, really huge number. As we as the sample from the finance team, the credibility of the calculation was really high. So people actually believe in it. It was not just a number that came up from the CX team, but it was a finance. And suddenly they start listening us because they saw there is impact in their business. Basically, we became their partners and not somebody who is just blaming them for doing the wrong job. So connecting business outcomes or connecting NPS or whatever metric to the business outcome, churn, revenue, upsell, it's really crucial, and it will help you to move forward and to get the board aligned around your vision, which will help you to start conversation with the HR team. How can we put the right bonuses? How can we put the right goals into people motivations so everybody knows their role? And when leaders are connected with you and are starting supporting you, you will have suddenly absolutely different role and ways of working. You stop being the pusher, you will become the center of excellence, and you will be asked to come up to the meetings saying, how can you help us to improve the experience? So we will improve our upsells and our revenues and our churn rate. And this is the moment when you really need to think about how you manage this, because it's a lot of work. Example from another bank in Czech Republic, they implemented the 6 champions all around. So every important team, every leaders vertical, they have their champions who act as a single point of contact for the CX lead, and it was the extended hand of the CX leader. And suddenly the CX movement starts spreading all over the place, and this is the place where you want to be in the pull mode, not the push mode. I think that's all from my side here.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andra. So,
any questions?
No questions in the chat, no, and on Slido, not yet. But hopefully, as we wrap up and get to Q&A, we will see more questions come through.
Super. So over to you, Pearl.
Okay. So as we wrap up, I want to bring us back to the core framework we've explored today. Listen, learn, improve. Nigel at the beginning talked about the fact that only 10% of organizations get it right. And so we've heard from the start that becoming one of those elite 10% isn't just about listening to the voice of the customer, or to Andra's point, chasing dashboards and CX metrics. Listening is only powerful when it leads to learning, and learning only creates value when it drives improvement. So on this slide, we've summarized all the traps and the springboards. You've heard today and we've learned today about common traps that are holding many organizations back when it comes to listen, learn, improve. But it's not doom and gloom. There are great news, as you've heard from Andrea and Nigel. There are springboards that can help you accelerate progress, and we'd really love to encourage you today to hear what your customers are saying and uncover their true voice by applying all the springboards we've shared with you today. When it comes to learning, we've touched on health checking your data, the why, really going deeper and understanding the root causes behind the metrics. We've talked about accessible insights, making sure everyone has access to the insights that come out of your data. And lastly, Andrea touched on improve, how we act on those insights to improve ultimately your customer's experience. It's about making CX everyone's business across the organization. It's about having that outside, it's about co-creating with your customers. It's about the outside in thinking and bringing them into that conversation as well. So before we get to Q&A, we would like to run a final poll. I would like you to reflect and really think about the 3 traps that are most challenging for your organization today. Once again, we will use Slido, so please go to Slido with your mobile phone and think about the 3 themes that resonate with you. I'll give you a few minutes to share your views and capture your thoughts. So we've got some of the traps that we covered, unsolicited feedback, closing the loop. There were loads of questions on statistical validity. What are the 3 traps?
Yeah, have a think where you are today, you know, in your role, which trap do you feel you're in today? And this is totally anonymous, so don't worry. And also this is natural, you know, 90% of organizations are in these traps. So where are you? Because knowing where you start helps you know where you need to go. Let's have a look. We've got a couple of good questions in the chat as well for a minute.
Yes. So we've got 3 responses so far.
Not closing the loop. 75% of organizations aren't closing the loop. And if the 25% that do, it's normally is a generic email that's being sent out. So that's interesting. That's in line with what we're seeing.
Siloed ways of working is also a theme that's coming up. Ooh, it's dropping.
It's a lonely job. CX and operational jobs can be very lonely. But done the right way and using the right springboards, you start to make it everybody own the customer. Cool. Anyone else? Ooh. Over focus on touchpoint surveys. Yep. It's a common one. Easy to rectify, thinking the levels. Again, what we've done today, guys, we've talked through about what you should do, what all of us should do. Absolutely, how you should do it. All of these problems, these have been solved by other organizations. We can help. There's information out there. So, you know, we're not going to have to solve these problems alone. Okay. So not closing the loop, over focus, setting over ambition goals and projects. I'd love to hear that in the Q&A. That's a really common one.
Okay.
Cool.
Shall we flip it around? Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Flip it away.
Yes, Andrea, shall we flip to the next poll?
Yes, just checking.
The springboards. So looking at the springboards we explored, you've heard so many of them from Andrea and Nigel, the practices that can help you really move the needle and accelerate. Again, we'd like you to reflect and share the biggest opportunities for your organization. So we talked about survey and listening to all your voices, to Andra's point, telling the human story. What are those?
So you're going back to Monday morning, you're back in the office. What was the 3 things you'd love to put at the top of your to-do list? We are going to start closing the loop. So it's the other side of the traps, but where would you love to go first? What do you think is going to have the biggest impact, the easiest to do? That could be at the top of your to-do list, what you're going to discuss with your team and other leaders. Great one. Okay. Oh, wow. It's just evenly spread. That is fascinating. The interesting these are being split across listen, learn, and improve. It's interesting we're going across all 3 stages here. Because it's not, we're listening, learning, improving all at the same time. It's a living process. Okay. Making CX everyone's business. It's not we're a lot of CX leaders here and a lot of operational leaders. It can feel like we're the ones who own the customer and no one else does. That's really normal, and there's ways to deal with that. Survey and listen to all voices. Brilliant. Thank you, guys. So this is really interesting. So I'm not surprised that CX everyone is business based on the audience, and it is really usual. We have this front stage, backstage split in organization. Front stage, operations, CX, backstage, finance, HR, technology. And breaking that bridge between front stage and backstage as one performance is a key opportunity and a challenge in an organization. Some of the things we talked about around within the springboards do help with that, getting the information out there and involving people. It does help with that, it really, really does. Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks everyone for your reflections today, and it's great to hear your voice and where you are on your journey.
Absolutely.
So with that, Andra, shall we move on to Q&A?
We've got one in the chat. I don't know if you can see it from Evelyn.
Absolutely, Pearl. We have one question here.
We've got one in the chat, Andra, as well. That's been there. We've got a couple in the chat as well. Can you see those, Andra?
I can see them. So if you can walk through the chat questions.
Yeah, can we do those? So we had one from Evelyn a few minutes ago. Evelyn, you can read this out. I'll read it out. So Evelyn's saying, how can one show revenue better than the CX team? And how can we help the business increase revenue like you highlighted in your presentation? If it's okay, Paul Andrea, if I jump into that one. So I think, Evelyn, you're coming back to the slide where we had, 1 point of NPS is 4.6 million. There is a right way to do this. We've done it recently with 2 companies, and funny enough, the second company, 1 point of NPS was 6 million in-year service revenue. Basically, we have, if you want to, we can take this offline, Evelyn. We're offering like a 45-minute virtual coffee. We have a little pack we can take you through with the top tips of how to do this and where to start. The first thing is do it in partnership with your finance, find finance. But essentially what you're doing by using your relationship NPS layer, and that's the purpose of doing this layer, you're starting to understand what are the behaviors of your detractors, passives, and promoters. And what did your detractors and passives and promoters do in the form of, did they renew with you, for example, your contract? Did they buy more products from you? And did they recommend you? And then it's going into your available data sources. By taking your relationship NPS, you can do it with Touchpoint, looking at the actual customer records, looking at actual behaviors and modeling what they actually did. And then you start to create cohorts of the financial value of a detractor, passive, and promoter. And from that, you can calculate, if I take this detractor, make them a passive, or this detractor, make a promoter, that will shift me by X dollars. So if you improve your overall NPS by 1 point, and we get this many more promoters as a result, based on the size of our customer base, we get this many more dollars. So Evelyn, it's done in partnership with finance. We've got a short little presentation we can take you through, or some slides if you wanted a virtual coffee. It's easier to do than it sounds. You will have the data you need to do, but it is a game changer. And suddenly, rather than saying, oh, NPS has dropped, you can say, yeah, we've lost $2 million. Suddenly the C-suite, the CEO, CFO are leaning in going, right, what do you need? How can I help you? But Evelyn, what I would say is at the end of this, there's a link to a webpage, book a virtual coffee. Let's have a chat and we can walk you through the actual mechanics and give you some tips if that helps. Does that help, Evelyn?
Oh, thank you.
Brilliant. Look forward to catching up on a virtual cappuccino. I've got a question from Anthony. Anthony, we've got so many questions. I'm going to go to the ones in the chat, Andre, because they were here first.
Yeah, we are getting more and more questions.
I know.
Q&A, which is great. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Our timelines in Africa, Anthony, you're going to have to help me out. Our timelines in Africa, Kenya, are a bit contradicting to the available timetable.
To the time zone. The question follows after on the health check, Nigel.
Okay.
Yeah, Anthony will send the pack. To Nigel's point, we'll send the pack. And Jolie, correct me if I'm wrong. The session is recorded, so don't worry.
I'm with you. I was being slow. Pearl, thanks for saving me. On data health check, what tools do you advocate in data cleaning? Andre, do you want to do that one, or do you want me to do this? It's a statistical one.
Can you read the question it's about which tools we are using?
Oh yeah, you can't see it. So a question from Anthony, I'll do it. Sorry, Andrea, you can't see that. On data health check, what tools do you advocate for data cleaning? There's two parts. So we were talking about statistical health check, Anthony. There's also data health check and data cleansing as well. Two very different things. For the sake of time, dive in, grab a virtual coffee. Statistical health check, go in, find over your overall population. We had a great question, I think, from Rosemary about check your sample size, look at optimizing your response rate. So statistical health check is basically going in and making sure within your data you're reporting, you've calculated your error bars, your confidence levels. There's some standard statistical tools on that. Grab your finance guys and girls are really good at that. Data health check, data cleansing is a completely different one. And that's really relevant to unstructured feedback, around data cleansing and structured feedback. I would say, Anthony, just for the sake of time, book a virtual coffee. And if it's around data cleansing and data health checks, we can have a chat about it. If you wanted to get to statistical validity and some of the tools and approaches for statistical validity, we can cover it off there. But you've got two really good questions in there. Grab a virtual coffee. But I would always start with the statistics. Never put out a number on a report unless you know if a variation is noise or it should be reacting to. That is the statistical validity bit, and there's some tips in the deck that you can download. I don't know where to go. I've got one last one in the chat, Andrea, or we could go to the ones. Yep. Nigel Bowman, I have a question. How do you probe a promoter client who's not willing to refer any of the friends or colleagues? Not all promoters do. There's some really good studies, especially the people who want to undermine NPS as a system because they're selling a different system. There's been different studies that promoters, I think it's something 30 to 40% of promoters will never recommend you. It's just not in their personality that they will go out and recommend you. There is a really good measure called earned growth. If you Google Bain Consulting earned growth, that is where you can go out and start understanding when you get new business. So you've got a new business opportunity, so you've just done a sale. You've probably seen these surveys. You'll get a little survey that said, how did you find out about us? What led you to us today? Was it recommendation? Was it our advertising? So your question is, how do you probe promoters who are not willing to recommend you friends and family? 34% won't, 6% will. One way to understand how many of your sales are from promoters is actually asking the people who bought you. So if you Google Bain Consulting earned growth, it will talk you through how you can start measuring earned growth directly from your people who bought your product. Again, if you're interested in having a chat further, just jump on a virtual coffee. I'm going to do one more in here. Guys, great job, guys. Ignited my learning appetite. Good, because we want to learn from each other. We're all CX geeks. We're in there at the sharp end. We do need to learn from each other. So I'm learning from you today with the polls. I concur with comments about mentoring and coaching. We are starting a mentoring program. So we're doing it for some existing companies and clients already for CX leaders, where we do offering an ongoing mentoring support and coaching support. If you're interested in that, ping us offline and we can talk further about it. But it's a lonely job being an operational leader and a CX leader. We are a community at geeks. The problems we face aren't unique. Just because we're facing it, others have. So we've found that we've fallen into this mentoring role for other CX leaders. And we've been formally asked to do this for others because it improves your impact, your speed, and makes the job more enjoyable. So just give us a shout if you're interested in that. Right, I'm going to stop. That's all the ones in the chat, Andre, if you want to dive into the Q&A.
And we have 8 questions, which is amazing. So thank you very much for such an amazing number of engagement. So I will start with the top. Please, I wish to find out if I can get a volunteer opportunity to boost my CV from Fizeh.
Edith.
Edith, yes.
Edith. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, from Edith.
Edith, can you just explain that quickly? Is that around the coaching and mentoring, Edith, or is that around, if you're still with us, around just getting more experience? Are you still with us, Edith? I'm checking who's here. Yeah, you're still here there, Edith. Are you happy just to clarify that one?
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Edith.
Okay. Yeah, so I was asking if I could get like a volunteer opportunity to boost my portfolio.
Oh, the sound. I can't hear you, Edith.
Yeah, it's a bit echoey. Is there an opportunity, Edith? So sorry, the sound quality is a bit echoey.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better. Go for it.
Yeah, so I was asking if I can get like an opportunity to offer a voluntary service so I can boost my portfolio.
Yeah, I would say go for it, Pal.
Yeah, so Edith, I would say book a virtual coffee with us. Absolutely. It'll be great to dive deeper into this. We are always looking for volunteers who are keen to be a CX geek and want to learn more about customer experience so they can impact their communities and the organization they work for. So why don't you reach out to us offline and we can explore this further? Sound good?
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Perfect, Edith. Thanks for clarifying. Andre.
What advice would you give a new customer care manager who is just taking up a role? Also, do you have any guiding material for this?
I'll do this because I go back to my very first job, which was on the phones in call centers, being promoted to a team manager. If you're a new customer care manager, I would say spend 80% of your time not in meetings, not doing emails with your people. It's something I learned at American Express where I grew up. Any customer care manager, 80% of your time should be with your people on the floor, side by side, call listening, coaching, listening to the customers. It's very easy to get sucked into meetings, projects. It's easier in a way. So my best bit of advice is new manager in customer care, 80% of your time, 4 days a week on the floor, side by side with your people, listening to customer calls, taking call escalations, coaching the individuals and living the actual experience. You are the linchpin. That customer care manager is the linchpin in the organization. Frontline people taking calls, working in branches, whatever, have the most difficult job. That first level of management is the most critical in an organization. So yeah, 80% of your time with your people on the floor. Yeah. I hope that helps.
And one more thing, Nigel, another tip, being on the floor and being a customer care manager, learn your organization's products and services, because when you know your products, you can articulate it really clearly to your customers, not just the value, but also how they can use it effectively throughout their journey with your brand or with your organization. So don't forget to be a whiz on your products and services as well. Andra, over to you.
I would mention maybe one tip here. This, again, goes back to my experience as well when I was leading outbound calling team. It's to make a good allies, especially with the teams like product and processes. It's great to be with them on the one boat and being connected, because you will get so much insight from them and you can solve the issues directly with them. It really helps you to be more in the more solid position. So the third question, for a new business case for a credit union, how can the cases you mentioned grow our revenue and increase the returning customer base?
If I jump in on this one, if I understand this correctly, you've got a new business opportunity setting up a credit union. The advantage you've got is you can build this in from day one. It is hard to become a listening learning organization, as I mentioned at the beginning, where, because it is new ways of working, new thinking, new practices, new ceremonies. If you're setting up a business from day one, set up your listening posts in the right way from day one, set up your learning steps in right way from day one, and senior leadership involved in decision, and set up and improve. It is a golden opportunity to build it in from day one. Also, you've got the golden opportunity, we didn't cover it today, to do your customer segmentations and your personas and your customer journey design. Not only to listen, learn, improve to your customers, to make sure you're building your products and services around a well-defined customer with the understanding the needs and wants of the product features, and the experience you deliver delivers on their needs from day one. And then your listen, learning, improving is sitting on top of that. So I would say golden opportunity, build it in from day one. The principles, what we described today, are exactly the same, if that helps. NPS scoring as points and not percentages. I'm going to do this really quickly. It reminds me of an old boss who used to be very cross with me if I talked about NPS score as a percentage. As NPS score can go from -100 to +100. Some people, I think if this is the question, some people call it a percentage, some people call points. Don't worry about it. This guy at Barclays used to go loopy if you called it percentage. It's from -100 to +100. So an NPS score is normally shown within that scale as points. Some people call it a percentage, doesn't really matter. Hopefully that answers that. Guys, if none of these answer your question, chuck it in the chat, we'll jump on in, open up and challenge, come in with additional points.
Do you offer mentorship for new managers in area customer? Yes, Nigel mentioned that. We are just launching the mentoring and coaching program, so please feel free to book up the virtual coffee. The link how to do it coming soon, so don't worry. In developing an annual CX impact report, what are the best information to capture for the C-suite members? I think that's a great question, Angel.
I'm going to try and answer it, and whoever anonymous is, jump in. So if you're, I think we're saying, I'm sitting down with the C. Okay, top leading CX organizations, Hertz Rent-A-Car used to be one. If you go into that annual report, they will say how much of their revenue is attributed to their CX programs. They actually call it out. They say, as a result of our CX activity, we attribute X million to that activity. They actually call it out in the annual report. Hertz Rent-A-Car used to do it. I'm not sure if they still do. Intuit, the hardware developer for computers, used to do it as well. So in building some more, I would just say lifetime value. Well, the best metric, if you want to say our overall efforts, you can attribute it to lifetime value, or you can attribute to in-year service revenue in form of reduced churn is a good one. Increased cross-sale is a good one. Average order value is a good one. So these are all good metrics that if you do the steps we talked about, if you want an offline coffee, we can walk you through the pack. I can't remember who raised it. Tips. If you link your NPS to the right outcomes, the good metrics are sales conversion, reduced churn, average order value, propensity to cross-sell. They're all metrics you can attribute your activities to, and you can bracket that under lifetime value if you wish as well. Those are the metrics that the C-suite hear about and understand. So you're not talking about nice to have NPS, you're talking about hard revenue. Again, if you're interested in learning more about linking NPS or CSAT to revenue, how to do it, where to start, give us a shout and we can do that.
I think the next question is similar to this one, or touching the...
I wanted to see its metrics for frontline teams when...
can be a lot of...
There is book an offline conversation. This is a massive trap we didn't touch on. Setting goals, CX goals, for anyone in an organization can drive behaviors the wrong way. For example, if you do it to a sales team too soon, in a way they do not understand how to influence that metric, it will turn them off. So it needs to be used as a carrot, not a stick. Frontline team, very different. That's the operational measures. Again, first contact resolution is very different from average handle time. So again, I'm just conscious of what minutes go. It's a brilliant question. You could try and do it and cause yourself more pain. Please, please, please book an offline coffee. There is a link at the end of this presentation. You can go to a landing page, book a coffee. We can give you some practical tips of how to do that so it drives the outcomes you want.
Conscious of time, as we have only 1 minute left, I would encourage everybody, if you have any other question, please drop us a message or book the coffee. We would like to go through all of your topics. That will really nice thing to do. To close the call, this is what we mentioned. If you scan this QR code, you will.
No, Andre, we can't see your screen, or is it me?
Really?
I can see us. No, I can see the
Okay.
screen, Andre.
You can see your screen. Brilliant.
So if you scan this QR code, it will lead you to a landing page we prepared for this call. So it's really dedicated to you, for you. There are 3 options you can, or 4 things you can do. You can run our CX assessment survey to understand where your organization stands. It's called CX Pulse Check. As mentioned several times, you can set up a 45-minute call with us. So feel free to do this. And you can also download a copy of this presentation and one practical handout that is where is the summary of everything what we talked about. I think this is the very end of our show. We are 1 minute later, which means it's quite a nice timing. Thank you, guys. We would love to thank you for all your questions, engagement. It was really wonderful 2 hours, and it fly by really so rocket speed. We enjoy it. So thank you very much for your questions, for your engagement. And we wish you all the luck in being a CX geeks as we are. So a lot of luck and success in your jobs. And you have the contact